I was raised in Western Massachusetts. I am the child of two Southerners. My brother is also Southern, and my family is Southern way back before the Mayflower, so I was the only Yankee in the family for all generations. And it definitely shaped me in my taste. I was the only little Yankee boy who liked boiled peanuts and puts salted peanuts in his Coke and liked grits for breakfast. Well, Southerners, I think, have a number of traditions, one of which is storytelling. So my Southern relations, when we get together, I mean, it's just one story after another, after another, after another. Thanksgiving, when I go down to visit my Uncle Bob and Aunt Relda, and all the cousins are there, my stomach will hurt for days afterward because it's just so funny. And they're all great storytellers. And that's kind of how family knowledge is passed on from generation to generation, is through stories. You know, I mean, it's a cliche, but there's a certain level of dysfunction, I suppose, that goes along with being part of a Southern family. Secrets and all these entanglements. And there's a sort of gentility, a courtesy. I mean, I was very polite as a child, very well-mannered as a child. And that's something else that you find in the South. Probably it all started with the Astors, you know, in the Vanderbilts in New York City in the Gilded Age, when society was constructed of layers upon layers upon layers of etiquette. I mean, you didn't call somebody on the phone, or you didn't text them and say, let's go grab lunch. You would have your person send your handwritten note over by carriage to your acquaintance's or your friend's house, and they would receive the note and respond in kind. And there were just very many layers to society and how we behaved and how we reacted appropriately. Now, because New York is, and always has been, sort of the zeitgeist from which, you know, everything radiates out. This is the sort of the taste center and the design center of America, and certainly was back then. I think a lot of people emulated that stratified sort of concept of society, and Chicago certainly did. You know, the big families began behaving as New Yorkers did, and then as society spread west, it happened in the West Coast as well, and down south. And it's interesting because these manners, you know, a lot of them became, of course, outdated over time. Life became more casual. You know, casual Friday took over. But in the South, what you find is that these manners still remain. Last Thanksgiving, I was driving down a dirt road in Alabama. It was a red clay road, very narrow, deep, dark Alabama, you know, where there are alligators in the backyard. And this big pickup truck, like a Ford F-350, was approaching me. And so it was me and my boyfriend and our two French bulldogs. And I'm thinking, okay, this is the part where the good old boy pulls the fags over, shoots him, and takes the dogs. And so as this truck gets closer and closer, it's got the big headlights, you know, on the top. I see the driver is wearing camouflage, including a camouflage hat. So I'm thinking, well, this is it. We're going to die. And just as we pass, the trucker goes like this and moves on. And I realized at that moment it was an epiphany, and I realized the last gentlemen, these are the last true gentlemen, are the Southern good old boys, because their mamas taught them to behave. You know, yes, ma'am, thank you, ma'am. No, sir, thank you, sir. And that's very much how it is in the South, and that's why I love the South. I love the South. I don't think I've inherited the, you know, the Gothic literary sensibility is sort of almost dated to Eudora Welty and Flannery O'Connor. It's a South that doesn't quite exist as it did. Certainly there are pockets, but because I didn't live in the South, I didn't experience, you know, the Spanish moss hanging off the trees and the sort of sweltering days and that sort of drowsy, you know, and the sort of the sweet tea. And I have a deep appreciation for it. I mean, one of my favorite authors is Carson McCullers, and I think The Member of the Wedding is just one of the most perfect books ever written. And it really, for me, captures that flavor. I don't know if you would call it a gothic Southern novel, but it certainly captures that deep, deep, sort of almost the sensual South, the melancholy quality. So I myself don't think of myself as a Southern writer, although there are certain things about me that are definitely Southern, that are there as a result of you know, having Southern parents and having Southern relatives.